Council members would take their seat when they're finished with their conversations, that would be great. Okay, good evening, everyone. We are so excited to have all of you here to join us for our City Council meeting. The opening tonight will be provided by Councilmember John Adams, who will then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to keep it simple and say a prayer and then do the pledge. Our Father in heaven, we come before thee at this time and thank thee so much for the opportunity that we have to be gathered here as a community and as a citizen group. And we're grateful that we can all work together to make Kaysville and the state of Utah and our country the best place to live. And ask thee that we can have a good evening tonight and work together on that and say that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams.
I don't think the mic.
During the first portion of our meeting, it's reserved for public comment, but we don't have anyone signed up to speak, so we will move forward. We have a presentation, two presentations that we're super excited about. I'll turn the time over first to Chief Oberg. Sorry, Ellington.
Mayor and Council, thanks for having us here tonight. We're going to be swearing in our two newest officers. And I've been saying his name wrong all day, so Jacob Goebbels and Blake Garrison, and I'm going to let them tell you guys a little bit about themselves.
Thank you.
I'm really excited. Thank you all for being here today. I just want to say I'm honored to serve this community, and I'm very excited to serve and protect this community, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. So, thank you.
Officer Garrison, just like Officer Goebbels, I'm really blessed and honored to be here. Really excited to be serving the city of Kaysville, and already feels like home. So,
excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. We're so excited to have both of you with us.
Can we ask them quick questions? Like,
yeah.
do you care if we ask you where you're from and maybe a little bit about your about your family?
Yes, of course.
So, where are you from, and do you have family here?
Yes, so I did bring my mom here with me tonight. She will be pinning my badge on me. Thank you. And then I am from California, grew up there, born and raised there, and then I moved here when I was a kid, so yeah.
To be clear, he lives in Fruit Heights.
I do live in Fruit Heights right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
You're not commuting from Fresno or?
No.
Okay.
No.
Good.
That would be a long drive.
That would.
Awesome. How about you, Elder Gill?
yeah, so I live up in Willard. My wife, Molly, she's here with me. We have a kid. We have one kid, Maverick, son, male, you want to call it. He's 2 years old, so he's a terror for us, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
Well, I just have to add, I've known Molly since she was a little tiny kid, and she grew up in Kaysville, so we're so excited to have you here.
That's
I'm
great.
also originally from California.
Oh, you are? Oh, okay. Well, yeah.
So raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Blake Harrison,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support and defend
to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
to perform my duties
to perform my duties
as a police officer for Kaysville City
as a police officer for Kaysville City,
faithfully,
faithfully,
with honesty,
with honesty,
integrity,
integrity,
and fidelity.
and fidelity.
Congratulations.
Draw blood. Yeah, go ahead, Lex.
Will you stay up with us? We're going to do a group picture, Mom and Molly.
You and me sit next to each other.
I know, there's a problem.
Because you guys are trouble.
Just you two are too rowdy down there.
We would be.
And they've got me completely shoved in the corner.
Thank you. This is so exciting to have new officers. Kaysville is a great place to work, so. Okay, now I'll turn the time over to Chief Erickson for the presentation of a life-saving recognition.
Mayor, council, city leaders, responders, and residents of Kaysville, thank you for your time this evening. You know, you almost want to say, wow, you know, we've done great things, but we've probably done hard things this year. It's been a rough year on our folks, for sure, but they did a good job. To date, we had 20 saves so far this year. And then we don't know the secondary and third effects that we have on saving other people, right? So what we do is important things here. I'm not preaching that to you because you know it, but we have some great people. On that note, I don't want to leave out our brothers and sisters in PD because they usually get there first. They're out on the road. They start everything, you know, for us, and then we come in with the drugs and things we need to do. So it's definitely a team effort, and it shows every response we go on. So I thank them very much. Tyler Reese, can you come on up here? Tyler's our health and safety officer. He came up with this program, he presented it to me. I think it's a great idea, so I just want him, not to put him on the spot, but I just want him to explain a little bit.
Yeah, so read a couple leadership books, and they talk about ways to kind of boost morale and mental health. And they talk about celebrating our wins, because in the fire service, you know, we do have some losses that we take. It's not for a lack of doing our job. Sometimes circumstances just play out. So when we do have calls that go our way and we have a successful outcome, I think it's important to celebrate those and to acknowledge those. And so that's kind of the goal behind this program that I wanted to set up. And I had a lot of help from firefighter Shanny Nelson as well in developing this program. So I'd like to thank her for her efforts. But yeah, just want to thank Chief for supporting this project, and thank you all for the opportunity to present these awards. So, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go basically in order here, if you bear with me, and then Tyler and Ariel summarize these so that they're not our long reports. First report we had is in February 19, 2023. Crews responded to a 66-year-old male with a cardiac arrest. CPR was performed before we got on scene, so we got down there, excuse me, we got on scene, started ventilation, did our compressions, gave some medications like we do, and we ended up with the normal heart rhythm. Crew members that day were firefighter paramedic Michael Hayes, firefighter paramedic Brandon Holt, and firefighter paramedic Colton Alvey, firefighter Colton Smith, Captain Aaron Shute, firefighter Garrett, Matthews, engineer Cameron McKinnon, and firefighter paramedic Tyler Reese. So we didn't single out any particular thing. We didn't leave out, thank you very much. We didn't leave out anybody. What Tyler did, and I'm assuming with the help from Shanny, pick out 4 significant calls that really made an impact on us as responders and helped us learn. So definitely a credit to them. I think I'm going to have you all, if you don't mind, come up all at once when I'm done reading. That would be better. So I don't want to leave anybody out. Next call we had was May 5th, same year. Responded to a medical call, elderly patient suffered a heart attack. It required continuous heart monitoring. His monitor had been alarming his wife of concern. Patient told paramedics he was feeling tired. Noted that he was pale, sweating upon arrival. An EKG obtained and decisions were made to transport back in the ambulance. During the transport, she showed concerns and changes in his heart rhythm. The decision was to be made to pull over the ambulance and start our life-saving measures at that time. We ended up saving his life. Crew members, Captain Ryan Eckhart, firefighter paramedic Casey Adams, firefighter Cameron Bledsoe, who is currently in paramedic school at this time, and firefighter Garrett Matthews. July 23rd, we responded to a call of a construction worker. If you didn't hear this one, fell 40 feet. Ironically enough, and it's not funny at all, but ironically enough, they were there to install fall protection. So they were doing the right things. Crew members requested a helicopter on scene, heavy equipment, so he fell 40 feet, would probably saved his life. And Jason, you're back there, you can tell me, is there was a pipe sticking out that broke his fall. Is that pretty accurate? So we got down the patient with the help of Farmington and Layton crews. We all worked together. They say here he dropped 50 feet in a concrete vault. Crews climbed down an attached ladder to reach the patient, started getting him getting him some aid. Several other workers helped out. The team completed a rapid trauma assessment. The patient was alert and able to communicate. We set up our IVs. We did pelvic stabilization, put a binder on, stabilized the cervix, seat collar, and just a lot of effort from a lot of crews to save this guy's life. Ironically enough, part of that incident was his brother actually went after him, and we didn't realize that he did until later on in the hospital that he had a pelvic fracture issues, and he was just limping on scene, and
Wow.
you know, he ended up driving himself to the hospital, and I'm good, you know.
Boy.
Crew members that day, Captain Jason Taylor, paramedic Jason Taylor, firefighter paramedic Casey Adams, firefighter paramedic Tyler Reese, firefighter Dallin Peck, firefighter who is a captain for Farmington full-time, Jason Hastings, and firefighter paramedic Shani Nelson. Last but surely not least, November 3rd, we responded to a call, pedestrian accident. It was a bicyclist who was struck by a car. Gentleman was in some serious shape, suffered severe head trauma, as well as other significant injuries everywhere. His breathing was labored and inadequate. Firefighter, EMT, Peck, and paramedic Reese quickly evaluated the patient, determined life-saving measures utilizing RSI. RSI is a procedure that we just started at rapid sequence intubation, where you're basically sedating the patient, controlling their airway, and getting them to a better place very quickly. We just became an RSI agency, the second one in the state, a week prior. So we've been working on this, we've been practicing a lot. The crews were definitely prepared and really did a great job. What was that last report, Jason? If I can put you on the spot again, ironically, paramedic Captain Jason Taylor was on. We just got a report from a flight nurse.
Yeah, the individual, he's still in high school, he's doing better. They're starting rehab on him, but he's still has a long way.
And it was, thank you, and it was really good actually getting with AirMed, and we've been close partners with them quite a bit. We flew a patient that didn't do so well a couple weeks ago. They landed their helicopter. We did a debrief in our station. How can we do better? What can we do? So it was actually great. On that response was paramedic Captain Jason Taylor, firefighter paramedic Shani Nelson, firefighter Dallin Peck, and firefighter paramedic Tyler Reese. All of our folks really do a good job, and I can't speak enough of what good they do. Do we mess some things up? We do. We really do. We're not perfect. We learn. We work hard. We play hard. We stick together, and we're just a good team. I'm very proud to work with them, and very proud to lead them. So if we can give them a round of applause and everybody come up, that'd be great.
Yeah, let's go.
Hey, act like you like this, man. I already see you. Come on. I know, come on, man. That's all right. Stand your
Who's gonna be successful?
Hey, move in. Move in.
Cute and cuddly, boys, cute and cuddly. They don't need us.
You don't want to, that's fine, but.
No, I think let's just, yeah, they can do their family there.
Chief is throwing in $200 for every single one of you for per save.
Christmas shop.
Maybe.
Amazon gift card.
Right. The council's feeling generous.
I'd approve it.
I would too.
I thought he was buying them ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream would be great. That would be a great thing.
Matter of fact, if you're not a family member, come on.
If you're in the audience, come on.
So what happened in the fiscal year?
They couldn't come. What?
Dean couldn't come? Oh, the auditors.
Oh, the auditors, they had some other cities that had issues, and so they had to go revisit them first. We didn't have any findings.
Good.
So they put us on the agenda. Thank you, Chief. Thank you so much. We are so fortunate here in Kaysville to have wonderful law enforcement and fire department paramedics. We feel really lucky as a city to have you here to support us. So thank you, and thank you, families, for your support of your family members. I know that they can't do it without you, especially when they come home and they've had really bad days. So thank you for that.
And is the chief making you stay? No.
You don't have to stay.
Yes. You are free to go. Thank you so much. Quick, say something real fast.
No, don't.
All right, so we're going to move on to the next agenda item, which is the presentation of the annual fiscal year 2023 audit report. This is not going to happen. I will turn the time over to Jason to explain this meeting.
Thanks, Mayor. Yes, actually, it's kind of good news. Our auditor had several other client cities that have canceled their second meetings of December, and so they've had to go to other cities tonight to present. But the reason why they chose to boot ours to January is because those other cities had issues with their audits, and we had a pretty darn good audit. So that's good news for us. But we will get the audit presentation on the January 4th meeting. So that's all.
Thank you very much, Jason. Appreciate that. All right, now. Let's see. Would someone conflicts of interest. Do we have anything to declare? Anyone? No? Okay, then let's move on to the consent agenda. Does someone want to make a motion on that?
Mayor, I'd like to move that item B be taken off the consent agenda, and we discussed that.
Okay. We have a motion to move item B off the consent agenda. Do we have a second?
I'll second
A
that.
second. Okay. Any comments? No? Okay. Councilmember Hunt. Oh, just vote.
Oh, aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Would someone like to make a motion to move the remaining consent agenda items?
I'll make a motion that we approve consent items A, C, and D.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Oaks.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? No? Okay. Councilmember Jackson.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you for that. So we have a motion to remove item number B, so we'll now have a discussion about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a discussion on it, and I wondered if the chief could come up and talk about this with us a little bit. And the first thing I want to make clear, I want to preface the first thing is, it would never be my intent, or I would never want to see a police officer work 1 minute of his shift without a body camera and a dash camera, because I think they are so important. The only thing I'm a little unclear of is how we got to where we are right here today. I'll have a little bit more to this and then answer that, because we went through a pretty heavy budget discussion in last year, and we ended up doing a tax increase. and I don't remember hearing about this. And then now it's come to us before the next budget year, and it's kind of with this, it's got a deal that says if you don't get into this by December 22nd, we're not going to give you a discount for it or whatever. And I'm just a little concerned at why it wasn't in the budget, and I don't understand how it's going to be done now. It says that you sign the contract on the December 22nd, but you're not obligated to any money till July 1st. And so I'm a little unsure as what happens between now and then, or do we need to, so we don't need any money for this year, but we're going to need additional money. So this really will be in your budget. We just need to commit to it in order to get the discount. Is that, and then there was some other things in the contract I wasn't sure of. It showed that it did this license plate recognition, but they opted to say, but if your car doesn't have certain things, then it won't work or whatever. And I just didn't know, is there going to be an additional cost also to this? And so I was a little unclear as to why it's now and how it came up, and it's, is it something that should have been included last year and not next year? Or anyway, I'll let you go.
Yep, I'm happy to talk about it. So as you know, these are, body cameras, car cameras, they're pretty expensive. So my intent with our current program was basically to milk every bit of life out of these things as I possibly could. And that's what we've done. So this has been in our capital improvement plan for years, slated for this upcoming budget year, not our current budget year. And one of the reasons was I felt like we could milk more life out of these, which we've been able to do. Another reason is we aren't going to really have to invest until this next budget year. So in October, the server's going to have to be replaced if we continue to try to do something on our own end as far as retaining the data. So this program would be a cloud-based. Our data would be in the cloud, and our IT people in our city would not be responsible for purchasing a server, migrating the data, maintaining that server. So Ryan and I both talked that we thought we could push it one more year. Another couple reasons were the last couple budget years, kind of the instructions we got as staff was 2 years ago, no additional operations money. And last year was pretty similar. Hey, we're not going to entertain a lot of additional requests for operations. And so that's when Ryan and I talked, and we felt like we could push it this one more year. So the reason it's come up in December instead of March, generally I present things in March for the new budget. But the reason I'm coming to you a couple months early is because they said, hey, if you do it now, we'll give you this discount, so we know you're on the hook. And so I thought, okay, this is a $70,000 savings. By merely committing now, I should take it to the council. That's the responsible taxpayer steward position that I think I need to represent. So that's why it's here now instead of in 3 months. But it's been on our capital improvement plan, like I said. We knew this was coming. It's a communication I've had with Dean and our city managers for the last several years, along with a couple other expenses that I think are coming our way. One of them we got through the last 2 years, and we have another one coming up, which I think our current city managers kind of communicated with you all about already, that hopefully isn't going to actually turn into an expense like I thought. So we've had these 3 things. I've tried to communicate that, but that's why I have pushed it to this point. And a couple other benefits of doing so is I didn't want to be the first in my group of chiefs or cities or counties to try this program out. Some of these I like to let some other cities try it out so I can see whether it's worked or not, and this has given me the opportunity to do that. So right now we've got Bountiful, Clearfield, Syracuse, and Layton City signed on to this before us, and that gives me a little bit of comfort because I can talk to those chiefs and say, how is this working? What about this? What are some of the issues you've encountered? Before we just jump right in and commit ourselves to this.
And that gives me a lot more comfort, because I thought we were the guinea pig.
Nope.
When it said that, that this was an end-of-life thing, they were no longer going to support it, I thought, they're just giving us a drop-dead date?
Well, they've kind of given us a drop-dead date several years ago, and we've still just been kind of milking it along. So they don't manufacture these body cameras that we're using now. And so when we have an issue with it, whether it's our administration or our IT people, they're very non-responsive, because they don't want to fix them. They can't just replace them. They can't put a new one in a box because they don't make them. So then we have to try to diagnose it. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of time on our end and their end, and we've been sending them back. And some of them we're getting kind of repaired. Some of them better than others, but they're certainly they're not something that they're supporting, and they're not. We've got a bunch that really just are not usable.
So my understanding now, this will be a subscriber subscription, and they will provide the equipment, and if it goes bad, they'll just give you another one.
Yes.
Is that true?
That is true.
Okay. And we don't own anything anymore. It's just you're paying for the subscription.
I think we will actually own these, but I think what we're going to be in is the same boat in 5 years, is that they'll probably be about end of life. A body camera probably isn't going to go past about 3 years lifespan, and they replace these they replace the body cameras at 30 months, and the car cameras at 5-year mark. So and if they go down, they're warranted, they're part of this program. We'll get new equipment or software or whatever the issue is.
So in a dollar amount, it sounds like you're spending currently about $40,000 a year on your current systems, and this will be about $90,000 a year, which everything's gone up in price. I go buy a tube before, everything's gone up. Go buy a Coke, everything's gone up in price, I get that. It's just, it's a budget thing, and you see this come and you realize it's not in the time frame that we're used to, and you wouldn't
be seeing it till this spring, except I thought we had an opportunity to save some money, and it seemed prudent to try to bring this.
Will we save $30,000 or $60,000?
$69,000.
$69,000 is the savings, because it said $30,000 in there.
I'm not sure where.
30-something thousand.
Are you getting that from my staff report?
Yes.
So my staff report, maybe I didn't communicate it well. This isn't the lowest bid on the companies we looked at. So this is about $30,000 more than that low bid, and maybe that's where you're getting the $30,000.
Yeah, it said if we signed up, it was going to give us a $30-something thousand savings, but it says $60-something thousand.
69.
Yeah, 13%, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
13%.
Yeah. So
I'm done.
So I had many of the same questions as Councilmember Blackerman. So this will be part of your budget process, as we work through this coming year, and it's always planned on. Just the opportunity, because is why, and I think we all appreciate that.
And the fact that when I sign this, we're kind of committed.
Yes.
So even though this next year in July, I think we have enough. We've applied for a small grant, and we have enough beer tax money to cover this upcoming July. That's first year's.
It's the ongoing.
Yes, but the 3 years after that, we are going to be on the hook for this $90,000. But we will have the $25,000 to $30,000 in beer tax money that we can still apply to that to help pay for that. But it is going to be an extra cost, and it's kind of weird. We don't do a lot of subscriptions, so it's kind of a strange request, because a lot of our things are one-time purchases. Whether it's cars or things like that. Yeah. But where this is kind of obligating us for future years, it seems prudent to come to you now, even though we won't be paying anything, essentially, as far as the budget increases for a couple of years now.
Any other questions?
I had one question.
Okay.
Just,
Councilmember.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Adam.
Adams. You said multiple. That was my question. Are there? Because as a salesperson, it's pretty common technique that we use to be like, hey, if you sign up now, we'll give you a better deal. And then when people don't sign up, we end up still giving them the deal because we want the business. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen here. And I think that as long as you feel comfortable with this product. That would be my only thing, is if they were trying to like push you into making a decision early, that you know, where if you think if we wait, maybe we find that we like Nokia better than Motorola or whatever, you know, but if you feel like the product is good, then I feel fine with the sign because it's going to be budgeted. But if you think that they're just trying to use it to snag you.
I absolutely think they are, but every single one of the companies.
And you like them.
All three salespeople that represented these companies told me, yeah, I get an end of year bonus if I get you.
Yeah.
And you're the one that's going to push me over my numbers. Every single one of them said that same thing. And we were actually looking at a different vendor a little bit more closely because our initial bid with Motorola, and this was in the springtime, was much higher. And so I had kind of discounted them. I thought they're so much more expensive. I can't go to the council with this and say, yeah, you know, we really like these guys, but they're a ton more expensive, and so we're going to go that way. I didn't feel like we could do that. So I was prepared, and we've been testing and evaluating these for a couple different companies to make sure that the product is robust and that it's going to work for us. And we're testing these ones right now, but we had tested some other ones prior. Shoot, I'm sorry, I forgot where I was.
No, you're good. It's just as long as you like it, but I would encourage you. I'd encourage you to like say to them, "Hey, I think if you can get me to 79, I think I can do it."
Well, they've actually already tried to come back me with an increase.
Really?
And I told them, "There's no way. I've already sent this to the council. This is the document that they're looking at, and they have to have it a week in advance. And this is the only city council meeting we're having in December. So if you want your December thing, it's this or nothing." And so they're kind of
good job.
Good.
They're not happy with that. And I mean, I've got some other reservations. We've had some heartache with their customer service. And Motorola is an enormous company now, and so because of that, in a lot of regards, they're tougher to deal with. Like, we'll get a bill from them because our radios are Motorola, our CAD system's Motorola, and now this. And so we get a bill, and we have to try to sift through it to find out what we're paying for. I mean, there's some real downsides to them. But one thing I will say about Motorola is their hardware is very robust.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
You know, we carry the radios, and they last forever. Right. And you know, that is one good point about them for sure.
Thank you. Councilmember Jackson.
And I did find in the contract where it did say the 69, so you had it right.
Okay.
I was reading the wrong. I had so many numbers, I'm sorry.
I probably didn't do a great job on the stuff.
It was fine.
Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, just a quick question. You mentioned some of the surrounding cities has this, and in your notes you mentioned it's going to be more seamless, the transition. Could you kind of speak a little bit more to that, like what you're optimistic about, not maintaining our own server, or what you've heard, positive feedback you've heard from some of the cities?
Yeah, so the fact that our CAD system, which is our computer-aided dispatch system, our radios, and this are all going to be, there's going to be some interconnectivity. So at some point, you know, a button on your radio is going to initiate your body camera, and it will tag something in the computer. And so there's going to be some interconnectivity that way. That's a benefit of having all of these products with Motorola. And a risk of not going with a Motorola body camera or dash camera is, and we're on the CAD system, is they could in theory come back and say, we're not going to allow these other components to mesh with our system. So that's a significant risk that I was worried about with some of these other vendors. And another piece that's very nice is having, so we've, as cities in Davis County, we've spent a lot of time and effort and some money trying to get us all on the same computer system, the same server, and now having a bunch of us on with the same equipment is just going to increase some of that interoperability with other cities. And some of the software, I think that's going to be really helpful for us. And probably save some money in other parts of our budget are things like if we go to get a surveillance video from 7-Eleven, say, we take them a thumb drive. We'll take it down them, they'll have to load it, we bring it back, and then we have to get it into evidence, and then we have to also get that to the county attorney's office when we file charges. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to that, where with this, we'll have a software program, we can send a link to the 7-Eleven, they can upload their video into a system that's part of this program, and then we can just give the county attorney's office access to that.
That's awesome.
So it's going to save a lot of time on that back end and some money, and it's just a better way of doing business in some of those regards. Similarly, right now I can't take out my cell phone and use it on a scene to record or take photos of a crime scene because I shouldn't have crime scene photos on my phone that I have access to.
Right.
But there will be a software program that comes with this to where officers can use that through an app that's, that will send this to this evidence bank instead of stored on their phone. So, maybe we can cut down on some camera purchases and I think it's just going to make us more efficient and more effective. And that's what we hope to get out of any technology because there are costs to it. This is not cheap, and another positive of this is that we've been using Motorola for 15 plus years. That's the body camera system that we've used since Mayor Roundy's time when I think she got a grant for that initial purchase. And so we're not going to have to learn. We'll have to learn upgraded software, but it's not a whole new system. So it's going to be much easier for our officers to just go with this.
Awesome, thanks.
That makes so much sense. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we appreciate you being here. Thanks for explaining all of that to us. Nick, do we need a motion to move this to an action item?
We can just move to approve it.
Okay, all right. Okay, be looking for a motion then.
Mayor, can I just make
Oh,
a
yes,
comment?
absolutely. Councilmember Hunt.
I guess, I don't know, I kind of just wanted to summarize some of the stuff. I spoke with Chief earlier, and I guess for me, this is kind of about the gap. Chief has presented this and said, we need the police cameras, and absolutely, I think we all understand that, and I don't think any one of us up here says, well, the police shouldn't have body and
State law,
and
so,
dash cams.
right.
Right, well, exactly, but, and so for me, I'm looking at it and thinking, it reminded me of a situation we had a few weeks ago where we took our car in and the engine mount needed to be replaced. They took the engine out, and of course on things like that, the piece is like $45, but the labor is like $800. And, that's just how it is. So they took the engine out and another piece needed to be replaced. And he said, you could leave it like this, and, but eventually we're gonna have to come back in. It's gonna be another $800 to replace that, or we could replace it now. So it saved us $800, and to me, this is almost exactly the same situation. We want the cameras, we support our police, we feel like we're probably going to have to find this in the budget. I'm not an expert. I don't think I can go out and find anything cheaper than what Chief has found that would work for them. So for me, it's just saying, do we want to find room in the budget for this amount, or do we want to find room in the budget for this amount plus $70,000 more? So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that. And then I also kind of had Josh pull up some information on what $70,000 could get for us, and it is the equivalent of 2 years worth of our sidewalk repair budgets. And that's something we don't always do, and we wish we could do more of. But that's what we could be saving. And I'm not saying I want to save it and then spend it already, but that's in pieces. That's what it could be. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at. So I mean, if you want a motion and everyone's okay with that, I would make a motion to approve this and authorize the purchase of body cameras, dash cameras, and associated equipment for the city's police department.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Yeah, one comment, or some treadmills.
That made him smile. Okay, thank you. All right, Councilmember Oaks.
Aye.
Aye.
Are we approving the
Yes.
treadmills?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chief, for being here, for explaining that to us. We appreciate it. All right, before we move to the action items, we had a public hearing at 6:40, but the notice that was mailed, I think, said 7 o'clock. So is there anyone here to speak during the public hearing. We will reopen it if anyone wants to comment. Okay, yes? All right. Come on over. Please state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
I'm Steve Blunt. I live on Mutton Hollow, and the city is looking at coming into our yard about 20 feet from what we gather. They kind of tell us a different measurement each time, and they've kind of asked us for a different estimate of what it would take us to repair our yard each time. But it's hard to give an answer when we don't know how far they're encroaching for sure. There's been a $30,000 figure mentioned. We don't know if that $30,000 is just for lease of the temporary easement, or if that's supposed to cover repair of our front yard. So I want to thank the three of you that came at 20 to 7 and gave us some idea of what's going on here, because we don't have any experience in these kind of things. But the question was raised between the lawyers, which I'm disappointed we're spending money on lawyers from both sides. The question that was raised was, they are implying to us that the city wants to do the repairs on our yard, and we're saying a lot of it's pretty custom and we'd like to do those repairs ourselves. So they ask us for an estimate, we provide that, they come back with, and our estimates have been quoted by 2 or 3 different groups at around $120,000. They come back, the city comes back saying, well, we'll give you 30 and this is generous. We're not sure if the 30, like I say, is for repair or for lease of the temporary easement, which is basically our whole big front yard. We're on an acre, so we're talking about a larger than usual property. So we are all about the project going forward. We have never tried to fight that. We haven't been happy about it, but we haven't tried to fight that. We're a little confused on what's going on. End result, we want to make sure our yard looks nice, even though it may be smaller when we're done. And we don't have any guarantees that that's going to happen. So we're uneasy. I don't know what else to say.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments, and I think that we can speak to them. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Dale Baxter. I live on the corner of Mutton Hollow and Fairfield, and the plan is, I guess, to put a light in there and, of course, widen the road. I'm right next door to the Luntzes there. They're also planning right in front of my house, going to the east, having 3 lanes of traffic going to the east, coming off Mutton Hollow from the west to the east, and then 1 driving lane coming down going down to the west, coming down Mutton Hollow. And they plan on, I believe, taking all the no parking on either side of the road right in front of my house after this, and the widening the road up so far that my vehicles that park in my driveway will be right, the bumpers will be right on the sidewalk. So the only way for me to get in and out of my property is either to back in or back out. And that's a safety thing for me. I understand widening the road and putting curb and gutter in and sidewalks and stuff. That's all fine, but how do I do it safely? How do I get in and out safely? And especially my wife and my kids and everybody that comes and visits me, and you know, where are we going to be able to park and stuff like that. So that's the part that we're just trying to work through and such. And like I said, kind of like Steve said, that you know, we understand progress and widening the road and putting sidewalks in and stuff. That's fine. But you know, how are we going to be able to manage what we have to do to make it all work? So appreciate your time, and thank you.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Lisa Marshall. We also live on 43 East Mutton Hollow. Similar to our neighbors, we feel like we haven't gotten a lot of information. We received a package in the mail saying that they were going to be putting up some temporary easements there to work on the sidewalk. It does have like a small map, but we haven't been contacted on like the time frame when it will happen. As you mentioned, we did miss the public hearing. We thought it was at 7, so we were hoping to get a little more information. We do not have traditional telework type jobs. We both work 10 to 12 hours, so it's been difficult, I think, probably maybe to get a hold of us, but we would still appreciate maybe some insight into the project and what that means for us and our home. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. So we will now close the public hearing for the filing of eminent domain on certain Mutton Hollow properties for temporary construction easements. And we will move to our action items where we will discuss this issue. So stick around. Okay. The first action item A, rezone of 7.75 acres at 367 South Angel Street from A5 to R1 20 for DW management has been withdrawn. The application has been withdrawn, so we're not going to discuss that tonight. So we'll move to action item B, which is a resolution authorizing the filing of an eminent domain for Mutton Hollow properties as necessary for temporary construction easements. And for this, I will turn the time over to Public Works Director Josh Belknap.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, and also thanks to the property owners on Mutton Hollow for being here. For the last about 2.5, almost 3 years, the city has been working on a project to replace underground utilities, repave Mutton Hollow, and then also to look at traffic control devices at the intersections of Mutton Hollow and Main Street and Fairfield and Mutton Hollow. As part of that project, we're also looking at installing curb and sidewalk in locations where they are not currently installed. The city has been in contact specifically with 2 of the property owners, in particular 128 West Mutton Hollow, 148 West Mutton Hollow. We had several of these locations where there wasn't curb and sidewalk, I think 7 or so. We have 3 of those that we're looking at currently in this meeting. As I stated, we've been in contact with those owners. Certainly there are still a lot of questions about what and how. This meeting is not necessarily to say that the city is going to pursue condemnation. This is a step in the process where we hope to continue to kind of finalize plans and the approach there and be able to answer those questions, but also be able to work with and coordinate those property owners. What this step does is if we find ourselves in a situation where the 2 parties are at an impasse, we're able to continue the process forward. So, with that, I think I turn it over to council for
okay.
question.
Nick, go ahead.
Mayor, could I just add?
Thank you, Josh.
You know, hats off to Mr. Belknap. He's been working on this project with JUB for a number of years now. We started with, I think, 7. How many?
Yeah,
70 properties, and these are the last 3 that we're dealing with. We'd like to start the project in May, but we can't go on the property without a court order. And so this would allow us, the action you take tonight would allow us to finalize getting the property owners their just compensation, but also allow this project to go forward in the spring. We initially sent out a resolution that had 7 properties on it. In the last week, we've been negotiating that, and we're actually just looking for approval on 3 parcels who have spoken here tonight. So we are still working on it. We're still hopeful and optimistic that we can negotiate this and find mutually beneficial solutions, but we'd like to take this action tonight as staff so that the project doesn't get hung up in the spring. We'd like to put it out to bid and get it going.
Okay, thank you. And for those in the audience, Nick Mills is our staff attorney. So if you're wondering who he is. Okay, thank you, Josh, for that. Council, questions?
Question. I've heard some conflicting information as far as how far into the properties. Is this action we're taking tonight, you mentioned you're not allowed to go on the property. Would this allow the staff to better determine the scope of work as far as how many feet you would go in, or?
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know that this action directly bears on that, but this action helps us to finalize the project and make sure that we can get that information as we negotiate with them. It doesn't directly tell us how many feet we're going to go on their property, but we're certainly getting closer and closer, I feel like, to exactly what we're going to do. We've had discussion tonight about whether the city would repair or the property owners would repair, and we're still in negotiation on that, and we feel as staff that this would help us to further negotiate that and be more concrete in what we can and can't do.
And really give you the ability to put it out for bid, right? So that
Yes.
the project is completed
so the
in
project's
a
not
timely
hanging in
process, right?
limbo,
Okay.
Waiting for the parties to negotiate these things.
Right. Thank you very much. Any other questions, Council?
Yeah.
Councilmember Adams, go ahead.
For Nick and Josh, have any of the 67 other homeowners, like, has there been compensation for them? What's the deal, I guess? Because we're going to be on their property as well. Is that correct? That's why you had to get permission from all 70 to be on their property somewhat.
So I think what we've done is we've gone out and we've negotiated arm's length transactions. So that's varied across the board on the compensation. Some of that has been in-kind compensation. We'll replace sprinklers or trees or that kind of stuff. Others have been monetary amounts, and I'm happy to discuss that, probably more appropriate in a closed session,
okay.
Obviously. But we've done a range of things to acquire the permission to get on the property.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think further, so it's not 60 or 70, it's I think 7 properties that we had identified of needing to install the curb and sidewalk. Everywhere else, it's already in place.
Oh, okay. Okay, so those ones aren't going to necessarily require as much.
Yeah, and to that point, there are varying degrees of potential impacts to the frontage, and I think it's worth noting that, yeah, it's hard to compare, property here, what are we doing, where, there are significant impacts on these properties where we are needing a construction easement to install those improvements. So the impacts are, I think, a little heavier there than they are at many, in many locations. So.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Okay. No?
I think I have, another one.
Oh, okay. Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, just for clarification, because I spoke, with Steve and Dell, and then Lisa, you mentioned it, just not being totally clear on what this project is going to fully entail. And so it would just be kind of nice to know the steps that are going to be taken. Obviously, what we decide tonight, there's still a lot of room for negotiation and for figuring out this project. But could you kind of explain some of the steps that would be helpful for the city to take to make sure the property owners are fully aware?
And I'm happy to take that. I know that question. I know that the Luntz and the Baxters are represented by council, and so we're in negotiation with them, and that negotiation will continue, and we're happy to answer any questions. Because they've hired attorneys, we'll probably funnel that communication through the attorney for ethical reasons. Through no fault we're not accusing Ms. Marshall of anything, but we've reached out to her on several occasions. We didn't know if she was even going to be here tonight, so I'm happy to get her phone number afterwards and her contact information, And we don't want to surprise people for sure. We want them to know what's going to go on. We want them to be expecting what's going to happen. And we're very optimistic that we can reach some kind of mutually beneficial resolution with them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just a comment, Mayor, is all.
Yes, go ahead, Councilmember Blackham.
You know, growth is always hard. You know, people hate to see change, but it's inevitable, and we need to do it. And there's no question this will make it a much safer, better street over there. And, you know, it's just, it's one of those things where you keep putting it, you know, it's communication. It's always communication. When you find the breakdown somewhere, it always seems like it's communication. But there comes a point when you can't communicate anymore, and these are the tools that we have to have. And I'm sure that if you went over to the neighborhoods over there and talked to most of the people, they're tired of that project. They want it to be done. And as a city, we have a responsibility to make sure we get these things done. I'm sorry that we have to get to this point, but this is one of the tools that we have to make sure we get the projects done that we need to, that make these a betterment for our city. And so hopefully we can work this out and we can communicate through it. But if we can't, we really need to keep this project moving.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Blackham. Ready to make a motion, someone?
Mayor, sorry.
Oh, Councilmember Hunt, sure.
I don't remember, sorry, I didn't take down everyone's names. But someone brought up the safety issue with their driveway. Josh, can you, was that what was brought up, was someone's, the safety? Can you kind of address that and maybe tell us a little bit more about?
Yeah, I think Mr. Baxter had mentioned that concern, and one of the initial items that we identified in the initial communications that we had with him, the initial design that we had, as he mentioned, was separated lanes, both east and westbound for, I think, dedicated for the various turn movements, you know, right and left turns and through. As we talked with him, we realized the potential impact to the frontage there. And we went back to the engineers and asked if we can reevaluate that layout to try and consolidate some of those turn movements. Can we combine a through with a right, or it's not as frequently done, but can we combine a through with a left so that we're not having to go so wide on the roadway? That took quite a bit of time and survey work to do, and running some additional traffic models. And their recommendation came back strongly recommending against doing that, just for safety reasons, and lining up the two sides of Mutton Hollow. It's not a perfectly straight line. It's kind of askew, and the curb lines don't match up perfectly there. So the recommendations were to keep that alignment, and that's been part of trying to determine how much temporary construction easement square footage is needed for the project, not just to install the roadside improvements, but also acknowledging the impacts interior to the properties. So that would be part of us trying to finalize a design or finalize what negotiations will be with property owners to alleviate the impacts, whether it's, you know, yards and landscaping, whether it's drive access and access to the homes, things like that. I don't know if that
And
answers
so you
the
feel
question.
like once we have everything kind of settled, we'll be able maybe to address that safety issue as far as like the street design and any kind of mitigation that may be required there?
Yeah, certainly. In terms of the driveway itself, I think that was the one of the driving factors in the quantity of the temporary construction easement. But when I say quantity, the square footage required, looking at that potential of, you know, is it maybe a circular driveway or another access point, something along those lines. So it's hard to say for sure what that would look like. And as he mentioned, there would be the loss of roadside parking there, and I recognize that that is impactful. That is, to say it's not ideal is an understatement. But as we looked at that multiple times with the engineers, we didn't find another way to signalize the intersection, go through the signal warrant process, and still be able to maintain that roadside parking.
Thank you for looking at options, and thank you for that question. It's good. I do hope that the takeaway for residents is that we do care about what you're thinking and what you're doing as a council and as a city, and I know that they'll continue to work with you as much as they possibly can. So we appreciate you being here, appreciate your time, and Josh, thanks for your time. All right.
Motion and comments, or motion and?
Looking for a motion to the action.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution authorizing the filing of eminent domain for Mutton Hollow properties as necessary for temporary construction easements.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Comments?
And I just make a quick comment, if that's
Councilmember
okay.
Adams.
I mean, I've just tried so hard because I always, and my wife hates this, but I try and think of examples, like what if comparisons. And so, like, you know, part of this initially that was interesting to me is that we're not taking any land from the homeowners, from you guys. I mean, it's Kaysville's land, right? We're going to be on using the land temporarily.
Yeah, so I think that's the question you're asking is, are we acquiring like permanent property?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the indications that we currently have is we're able to fit the curb and the sidewalk within the right-of-way that the city has. However, even with that city right-of-way, there are parts of their yard and driveways that would be impacted by installing the improvements in that right-of-way. So,
yeah, no, and that's how I think. Like, I guess I'm trying to think, like, if somebody didn't live in a lot next to me, and it wasn't my lot, but I planted a tree, and because I wanted to beautify it, and then the person sold that lot and they wanted to build a house, like, I wouldn't expect them to then plant a tree in my yard that they planted on their property, that I planted on their property because I wanted to beautify it. But on the same token, I'm really appreciative that you beautified our piece of property for this long, because otherwise it would have just looked like weeds and you could have said, well, tough beans, it's your guys' property, right? And so there's this like balance of we should all be good neighbors. You've been taking care of our land and making it beautiful, which it is, and you could have easily made it look like garbage, or just said it's not our responsibility. But you didn't. You took ownership, which I'm extremely grateful for. I just feel like there's going to have to, I really hope that we can come to an agreement where it's like, hey, thank you for taking care, and we want to keep it, but we also have a responsibility to the landowners, which are all of the citizens of Kaysville that have always owned this land, to not overburden them with a cost on things that were theirs to begin with. So that's why I made the motion to approve. I hope that we can figure it out.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Yes, Councilmember Jackson.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, I went down there and I looked at all when school was getting out, there were so many children crossing the street, multiple directions, multiple crossing guards. And, you know, my biggest concern about this is the safety of your families and all the families that live nearby. And it is painful kind of moving forward in discussing eminent domain. But after looking at the properties, I'm convinced that the city and the families can come to an agreement. I did a lot of landscaping myself in the previous lifetime, and I'm just hoping that we can come to a good agreement for everyone. And ultimately, for my decision is based on just the safety of residents and children and whatnot. So.
Thank you for that. And I will just add a quick comment. I've driven over a couple times too at different times of the day, just because, you know, this is a big decision and we respect homeowners and we respect our residents, but come to the same conclusion that safety is important, and that's as part of our Kaysville City ordinance that we have sidewalks, and so appreciate it. Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Any other comments? Nope. Okay, let's call for a vote. Do you have a comment?
I'm okay, because, you know, I think to both of your points, and to your comments, as you said, no one in the residents there are against this. It's just the impact. Mm-hmm. And so we do understand that and appreciate that. And, you know, and Lisa, I know Nick will give you a call and get you that, so. But.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we're at Councilmember, what's your name? Blackham. Sorry about that. Blackham.
Apparently not long enough.
Sorry, it's been a long day.
Aye.
Aye.
And if I can just add, sorry, Mayor, I would only be okay with this if I felt like we could come to a resolution with you guys, and just want to say thank you for working with us. Thank you for working with us in the future, and I think we'll be able to work this out. Thanks.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right, council member reports. Does anyone have anything they'd like to report?
I do.
Councilmember Blackham does.
I would like to report on a business opening that Councilmember Hunt and I got to go to.
It's on his computer, so Jason may have to push over or something. What? On Nick's computer.
Oh, Nick left. Oh.
Yes.
Okay, so we were able to attend a business opening, and it's called Gigi Pip. I was calling it wrong. I stopped there today to make sure I called it the right name, and it's Gigi Pip. They started in 2015, and she started in the back room of her home, and they now have this building, and I think there's another picture, if you can advance it. There is Councilmember Hunt with one of the hats.
Rocking a hat. Good job, Abby.
This is their warehouse, and this is their headquarters now, and it is an amazing business. The family who owns this has now built a home and lives in Kaysville. And I guess the Gigi comes from Ginger Parish, which is her name. And so it was neat to go see this. And the line that was there to be able to shop as soon as they opened that store was amazing. But it's a new Kaysville business. Welcome them here. Glad they're here. It's really interesting. It was fun. Councilmember Hunt got me in a lot of trouble making me sneak back in this warehouse and those things. But it was neat to go see, and it's neat to see a family doing that.
Thank you, Councilmember Blackham. Anyone else? Okay, I'm going to just give a shout out really quickly about Kaysville Gives. Kaysville Gives has supported in the past over 100 families. This year, Kaysville Gives supported 140 plus families, providing Christmas needs for them. The community really came together. We put a couple calls out there to please donate. It's difficult for many families. Many people are experiencing shortages in terms of money not going very far, and so we really want to appreciate that. I want to invite the council members, if you have time tomorrow or Saturday, please stop by Young Automotive in Kaysville on the just right off the ramp on the north side. That is they're the staging area. So Young Truck and Trailer decided that they wanted to host the Kaysville Gives staging area. It's a sight to be seen. My daughter-in-law went over and volunteered, and she said, I thought we would just be sorting through some clothes and putting them in boxes. I had no idea how organized it is. So I want to give a shout out to our volunteers, Krista Crane, Mindy Edstrom from the city, Shanna V, Karen Dent. There's so many people that are helping, and I just really want to express appreciation to that. And I hope that you guys have an opportunity, if you haven't been over there, to go look and see what we're doing to help communities. This year there were 700 more gift requests than last year. And these are not gifts like, I want something new. These are basic requests. Most of them are snow boots and snow clothes for children. underwear, socks, basic things that the kids are asking for, pajamas. So it's a great event. This is the 7th year for Kaysville Gives, and I just want to really appreciate staff for supporting this, as well as our community volunteers. It's been wonderful.
Mayor?
Yes.
Are there more items that are still needed, right, that you're aware of?
I believe that we've closed down the gift tag, the ability to get gift tags now, but if you want to make a cash donation, please do that, because again, it costs basically just on the basic gift request, it's over $50,000 that the community has come up with to provide the funding for these gifts, either by buying the gifts themselves or making financial donations. So we appreciate 100% of the donations that come are given back in terms of gifts, all volunteers. So thank you for that. Anyone else? Okay, City Manager, Jason, do you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. First of all, for scheduling purposes, we'd like to do a work session. We were thinking of canceling the next meeting, December 21st, but we've got a significant item we'd like to work with the council on, the library agreement next door. We've got a lengthy development agreement that we just need some time with the council to kind of walk through and make sure you understand and are clear of everything and are comfortable with it. So that'll probably take, at least an hour. We'd like to start at 5:30 on the next date, the 21st, 2 weeks from tonight, if that works for everybody. Wanted to just make sure that would work.
This is exciting for anyone listening. This is for the Bamberger Food Hall that will be going into the current old library rock building. So.
Yeah, and congratulations to a lot of work's been done on it with Melinda and Nick and others to get to this point. So things are moving quickly. If as the mayor knows, they'd like to open by the 4th of July parade.
Yes.
If things work out well. So it's a very quick timeline, but we're really excited about
what this will bring, I'll just add, is 6 new food restaurants to Kaysville. So
very exciting, yeah.
It'll be exciting.
We believe local
Right.
eateries, so just something really unique and exciting.
And no names on those restaurants yet?
Not yet. They've actually said they've had to shut that off because they've had so much interest from other, that they've just said, hold off, let's get this done first, and then, next year they'll start entertaining clients, restaurants, so. Pretty Birds is on the list.
Whoever's in charge of the calendar, as long as they send, if it doesn't get sent out, are you in charge of those? No. I'm just saying, if we're going to have a work meeting at 5:30, just somebody send a calendar invite, because otherwise I won't be here. Because I will forget.
That's how it works.
As will Nate.
Yes.
Yep. Me too.
Anything else, Jason?
Scheduling also. We've been talking about the need to have some work sessions next year, kind of gearing up for the budget process, especially with some of the large capital projects that are on the horizon, everything from some significant street projects to buildings, fire station. We've talked about ops center needs, power department needs, a gymnasium, just a lot of different ideas out there, and we want to take the time to really make sure the council's aware of those things and how much we're looking at, potential costs and prioritizing what we want to do and how we want to do it. So we'd like to break those up into different nights, maybe one night just on streets and water, for example, and another night on, power department. And so the first one we'd like to schedule probably, and I'm glad you're here too, Josh, maybe late January. And this would be an off night, not a council night. So either a weeknight or I've been told that we've done Friday mornings as well. If that works for this council, we could look at the last Friday morning of January, or I would say perhaps, and that would be January 26th, Friday morning, or perhaps one of the Wednesdays, January 24th or the 31st, Wednesday evening. But any strong preference or anything that definitely out of the question?
I am out of town that week, from Tuesday till Friday afternoon.
Okay,
that last week of January.
How would when you say the last week, so the week of the 22nd to the 26th?
Yeah, yes, that's correct. I leave Tuesday, we'll come back that Friday.
And we've got, and I think, heard some other conflicts earlier in the month perhaps, so would the
February 2nd?
February 2nd Friday morning work, or?
That's Groundhog Day.
The Groundhog Day.
So we could be here multiple times.
It will feel like that.
I prefer Friday, the Friday morning. I like this versus a Wednesday. I think that might work.
Friday mornings are way better.
Friday morning?
Okay.
Okay, great. So we'll put out the calendar invite for that as well, probably start at 8 o'clock or something that morning. Great. Well, that'll be very helpful and productive, I think, so we're excited about that. And then last thing, just as a heads up, we're really excited to be rolling out the outage management system. It'll go live the first week of January. And credit to Ryan and Brian and their teams for getting this to this point. We will be doing a mock outage a week from today, the December 14th, and we'd like as much participation in that as possible. So all of you will be getting emails on Tuesday next week. So be looking for that. That email will contain some instructions for how to participate in the mock outage if you'd like to do that. But we'd love to have your feedback, just sort of running through some scenarios of what it would look like on the public's end to have an outage and what kind of text alerts you get. And, if you see any issues, we'd just love to work out any little bugs potentially that might still be out there. But there's been a lot of testing to this point, so we're confident that things are going well. But again, just be looking for an email next Tuesday if you'd like to participate in that. And that's all.
Thank you so much. And Council, we really appreciate your willingness to have as many work sessions as we need to talk about the budget issues. We just want to make sure that we all understand and we've got all the information that we can get. So kudos to all of you for being willing to do that. And then lastly, right after the meeting, we're going to do a Christmas picture. So please stick around for just a minute. We're going to meet by the Christmas tree. Okay?
Here's one.
All right. All right, that's it for council member reports and city managers' reports. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll also move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's hurry and do the picture and then.
Hey, Nick. So Lisa's father is a good friend of mine.
Saw their announcement for the
Tell them to go in and talk to Dan. I mean, this was weeks ago. Because they're saying, we're not doing anything, we're not home.